Hi, welcome to Courtside. This is a digital series about QVC entrepreneurs, and I'm your host, Courtney Webb. And we brought in one of our new brands. It's a footwear brand called BILLY Footwear with co-founder Billy Price. Billy, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is really cool.
I know. This has been such a fun experience. So you brought us a footwear that you actually designed because of a need of your own, and you actually used the term universal design. So tell me what that means and why Billy Footwear kind of came about.
Sure. Well, that's a fantastic question. And so universal design, I think it's a term that's been around for quite a while. And it's a term that typically gets used when it comes to construction and architecture and whatnot. And to me, what it means is it's essentially creating something that anyone can use. It's kind of leveling the playing field. It's not having things in silos, essentially. So I grew up as an engineer. I mean, I went to school as an engineer, and I took that term from more the engineering side of it and then thought, you know what, why don't we apply this to fashion? So we took that and incorporated it into our shoes, trying to make something that would work for me, but also would work for anybody. So that was hence the universal design nature of it.
Awesome. So you brought this to us. Now it stems from a daily task. We all put our shoes on, right? So this is a little bit different. You added a function that takes kind of the energy out of putting shoes on. You made it very simple for us. So tell us a little bit about the design, and then after we tell us, we'll bring up a picture of the shoes themselves.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So, well, I guess can I start with my story? I guess I'll start
please.
there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's not coming across on the screen right now, but I'm actually in a wheelchair. That wasn't always the case. And unfortunately, when I was a teenager when I was a freshman in college, actually, I fell from a 3-story window. And when that happened, a lot of things in my world changed. I broke my neck, so it's a spinal cord injury, and I became paralyzed. Paralyzed from about the chest down, but it also affected my hands. So you'll notice on my hands, I can't really extend the fingers. I mean, the fingers can bend and whatnot, but I just don't have the dexterity. So because of that, there were a lot of things that I used to be able to do that I could no longer do. And putting my shoes on was one of those things. And, I was torn with this ability of not being able to put my shoes on, but also solutions that were out there on the market could work for me, but they didn't look good. I wanted to have something that looked both fashionable and had the function that I needed. And because nothing like that existed, I actually quit. I mean, I actually gave up. I said, you know what, if there's nothing out there, I don't want to look different. I want to look like everybody else. Mm-hmm. So for 15 years, somebody was putting my shoes on for me. And it finally got to the point where it's like, you know what, this has got to change. And there's got to be a different way to approach this. So at that time, I teamed with a longtime friend. His name's Darren Donaldson. The two of us are co-founders of BILLY Footwear. And we came together with a model and, put together a prototype, which had a zipper that goes around the outside of the shoe and around the toe. Having a zipper is not original in the shoe, but having ours go around the toe where the whole upper folds over so you can drop your foot in flat and unobstructed. That was the idea. That was the idea of like, I bet if I were to have that, I'd be able to drop my foot in unobstructed and be able to put my shoes on again. So that was our concept. That's what we started. We made this little tiny prototype. It looked ridiculous, but functional. It worked. And the moment was so incredibly special that we decided to try to share it with the world. Now, your point, what you're talking about with the fashion and everything, to enter into the market, we just didn't want to have something that was functional. We wanted to be able to create something that didn't just work for me, it would work for everybody. That was the universal design, the inclusive side of it. So it had to be something that had to compete with the big boys. It had to be something that could be on the shelves of the Nordstroms of the world, of the Zappas of the world, of the Macy's of the world. So that was the bold, crazy mindset that we had. And it kind of worked. We went out there and people started paying attention to it. So now I guess if you want to pull up a picture of the shoes, you can see it. It's an attractive shoe, but it also has the function.
It is. It's definitely attractive. So here's one of them. This is the classic low top. The item number is A379008. So tell me about the design of the classic low top, and then we'll see the classic high.
Right. Exactly. Okay, cool. So you can see on the outside, there's that kind of that dark line that goes around the outside, around the toe. Well, that's actually a zipper. It ties in nice with the actual seam line. So it doesn't really, you can't really see it. Even though you can see that line, it doesn't really shout out. It's like, oh my gosh, what is that? What is that? But if you grab your hand on that pull, that zipper pull, and you pull it around the outside and around the toe, you'll find that the whole upper of the shoe actually folds over, so it completely exposes that footbed. So you're able to drop your foot in unobstructed. And there's nothing like that on the market. I mean, every shoe on the market requires you to stuff your foot in. I mean, even something as simple as a flip-flop. I mean, even though it's so easy, you're still actually physically having to shove your foot into that piece of apparel, Mm-hmm. So we tried to do something bold. We wanted to change the game in a big, big way, and that's how we did it.
So these are available on QVC.com. We have 2 styles for you, and you actually made a brand for men, women, and children. Here's the classic high top, A379007, and these are super cool, and you brought lots of fashion colors. So tell us about that. You married this universal design, but you also integrated fashion. I mean, I can't imagine even doing the research on footwear fashion to start this.
Well, I mean, it's been a journey for sure. It doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly took a lot of very key partnerships with a lot of dynamic people to be able to get us to where we are today. We failed a lot, as a business, as an entrepreneur. There were lots of challenges that we had along the way. Some that really set us back. They were a real punch to the gut, but it was a matter of not quitting. It was a matter of keep going forward. When we first came out to market, we started with something as simple as a Kickstarter campaign. We had 2 kid shoes, 2 women's shoes, 3 men's shoes, just to try to test the market. And the market responded very, very well. And but when it came time to expansion, we couldn't go in all 3 directions at once. I mean, in all honest truth, I mean, my pocketbook, there wasn't enough money in my back pocket to be able to go in all 3 directions at once. So what we did was we pulled back and just focused on the kids. And we felt the kids was going to be a great market simply because, I think about the parent, and I'm now a parent of my own, but we have a 16-month-old kid, and he's pretty awesome. Anyway, but anyway, as a parent, when you're trying to get your kids out the door, anything you can have that makes that process more simple is a real check in the win column. So having a pair of shoes that, one, is easier for the parent to help their kids out, or it's something the kids can actually put on by themselves, so you're able to start the day with a victory instead of starting the day with an added challenge, that really helps everybody. So we felt that the kids market was a great place to start. And the great thing about it was, because we did so well in the kids market, it allowed us to expand. It allowed us to go in smaller in sizes to toddler, as well as into the adult category. So the shoes you just saw on the screen, those are the 2 women's silhouettes, a low top and a high top. But as you say, we also have men's, just not on QVC yet.
Yes, not yet, because you were introduced to QVC through the Big Find, which is a unique experience where entrepreneurs could bring their products to us and that we would vet. I mean, QVC vets and checklists beyond checklists to make sure that these products are amazing. And yours checked out. It's amazing. The quality is there. And so we brought the first 2 products, which we just showed. Now, tell me about that experience, because you had to apply and you had to go through all of that. Why did you choose QVC first off? And then what was that experience like?
Yeah. Well, boy, thanks for that question. I mean, I love telling this story because, so here's the truth. I grew, when I was growing up, our family didn't have cable. So I didn't know about QVC. I didn't watch QVC. My family didn't watch QVC simply because we just had, 4 channels on the television. So it wasn't until later in life that I found out about QVC. And it was a customer of ours. Our business is all about relationship. We love to be able to, interact with the customer as much as we can. Mm-hmm. And there was a customer that reached out to us specifically asking, like, hey, have you heard about the Big Find through QVC?
Yeah.
And I don't know how they heard about it. Most likely they're a QVC shopper, and they've been a QVC shopper for many, many years. But they saw the Big Find opportunity, exactly what you said, looking for entrepreneurs that have businesses that are starting, that are making place in the mainstream market right now. So they brought it to our attention, and we looked into it further. We said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is exactly what we want to do. We would love to be able to be in some sort of program where we're able to share the story and share the product to a much larger audience to add value to those customers. And so we heard about it. We went in. We're in Seattle, so QVC actually came through Seattle, and which worked out great. We went down, interviewed well, and that really kickstarted the process.
It did. And so then there's another step, because not only did you have to come and bring the product, you then had to get ready to be on air. So then you were on air showing your product to millions of people, because QVC is a nationwide program. Tell me what that was like, sharing your experience with millions of others.
Right. Well, I mean, that was awesome. It truly was. I mean, there were multiple steps. It didn't go directly from the interview with the panel directly to be on television, where there was a process of being trained. I mean, coming out to QVC and going through the training program to be able to, learn about the QVC family, being able to put names with faces, and then also just to be able to, portray the product on screen to be able to best tell the story. And it was really, really special. I mean, QVC, I got to say, you guys are an incredible organization. You truly are. I mean, as soon as you come in through those doors, you feel like family. I mean, I truly felt that way, and it's just been a real special experience. And I got to say, your ability to be able to speak on camera and talk about the story and identify the story and identify with the customer and identify with the guest in such a short period of time, I mean, it's just really inspiring.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, a lot of people work really hard to make sure that those on-air presentations are enough for someone to make a decision and to decide, like, if Billy Footwear is what I've been looking for and what I've been missing. So we're happy to do that work so that you can have that story time with our customer. So when you came into QVC, you brought us footwear, but preparing your brand for its debut on QVC, what did you learn about yourselves? Because I feel like going from where you were, right, and then expanding into so many other homes, did you hear voices from customers saying, like, have you thought about this? Are you thinking about looking at your company any differently? And especially at this time with our boundaries being more limited on what we're able to do.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, everything you said, absolutely. I mean, after having being able to speak into the homes of so many people, we've had lots of folks reach out, one, excited about the brand, but also offering up fantastic suggestions. I mean, for the most part, everybody has feet, but everyone's feet are just a little bit different. So having a one type shoe may work for a lot, but there's also a lot of types of, modifications that could be made for future lines to be able to better, add value to that particular customer. So, for example, a big one was widths. So the shoes that were up on the screen right there, those are a medium width. So one of the big requests that we were having was, do you offer your shoes in wide widths? And it's really, really cool because right on the back end of that live program, we had just launched widths. So now we have wide shoes for both men and women. The next step is going to be adding widths for both kids and toddlers. So that's in the future. Kids and toddlers, we're shooting for November 2020, but we were just able to launch widths for kids, for women and men. And there have been a lot of people that have been able to reap those benefits.
Oh, that's amazing. I really appreciate when entrepreneurs listen to the customer and try very hard to, as immediately as possible, produce that request. And so the fact that you're listening, I love that the brand started with kids footwear. I just find that touching that was something, because the youth of our generation are going to be our next leaders. And so the fact that you started with them and getting them set and then helping the parents, it says a lot about what you've built as a brand and you as a person. So we appreciate you bringing that to us. Now, you're one of a few in a team, right? So you're a co-founder. Tell me who your co-founder is, and then also who's a part of your team and how has it expanded?
So, okay. Yeah, thanks. No problem. So myself and my other co-founder, his name's Darren Donaldson. Darren and I, we grew up together. We rode the bus together going to school. We grew up about a quarter mile from each other. Went to elementary school, middle school, high school, played baseball together, went to college, but we kind of separated paths. We were a year apart, different grades. And as life does, it kind of separated us for a little bit. but then we got reacquainted in a very serendipitous type moment, which then led to, it started a great conversation, which then led to BILLY Footwear years down the road. But that aside, on our team since that moment, it was Darren and myself like grinding away for a number of years. And then another member joined our team, Mr. Patrick Foster. Patrick, he brought a lot of fantastic contacts to the table in terms of being a door opener to, in the retail business. Patrick, he's been a shoe dog forever. So with that, had a lot of insight on the design and how to launch a line, but also having points of contact that would allow us to, have conversations with the right people to set us up for good opportunities. So since then, we've continued to expand the team. We now have a director of operations, Ms. Amber Mullen. We have a CFO. That's pretty awesome. Someone actually manages the numbers, so I can focus on other things, and Darren can focus on other things. Mary Reed. And then we have customer service. We also have fulfillment. So our overall total for the team is we have 10 people. So it's a pretty lean team. But considering that it used to be Darren and myself, having 10 people is a severe blessing. I mean, it really is. And it's, I don't know, as we continue to grow and whatnot, there'll be more people joining the team. But that's kind of the team for now.
It is. Well, that is still 10 people, whether you say lean, I mean, to some that's like, well, that's a good team, because there are starting off with just 2 people. So speaking of being a co-founder, starting with just the 2 of you, what would you say to other entrepreneurs at this time? I mean, we are limited with the boundaries, the creativity, and the connections that we can actually accomplish at this time. Tell me how or what you would say to other entrepreneurs to kind of tell them to keep going or to be aspirational.
Right. Wow. Well, there's a lot of things that I can say. And it's not a matter of like me knowing everything, because I certainly don't. By no means do I. This is all just kind of living from experience. But what I'll say is, like, starting a business, I mean, it's a grind. It really is. I mean, the value within that grind is definitely there for sure. I mean, when we started this business, I mean, everyone on the team had a second job. So this started off as a side project, and all of a sudden that side project was able to put food on the table, and then we could step away from our previous like connections. So, but that was years. I mean, we started our business really in 2012. We didn't hit the shelves of major retailers until 2017. So, and with then, all of a sudden, all the momentum started picking up. Along those same lines, it was very important for us to be an e-commerce business, to be able to, cast that net globally. That was very important. But then also having strategic partnerships that are brick and mortar to be able to add value to those environments. Listening to the customer, that's incredibly important, especially because, I mean, our business has been a very grassroots type movement. So listening to the customer, they're also the voice that's going to tell their friends and their networks. So we've had a couple of very strategic and key moments where, like, viral posts, where a mom created some post and they had a very positive experience. And the post was shared 280,000 times in 3 days' time. So when that type of stuff happens, a lot of people find out about you in a hurry. But it's a matter of positioning yourself to be able to have those type of key luck opportunities, I guess if you want to call them. But it's a matter of just like keep grinding away. And we failed. I mean, we failed so many times. We've had product come and it's been terrible. Like our first go, we had 4,200 pairs of shoes, and for us that was a huge number. And of those 4,200 pairs, of our initial start, 80% of them were bad. So when that happened, it was a huge punch to the gut. And it was just a matter of like, are we going to do this? Are we going to lean into this? Are we going to move forward? And we decided to do so. And ever since then, it's been a true blessing. So that's the big stuff. But the really thing I want to say, I have lots of things to say, but there are 2 little gems that I picked up only a couple of days ago, and I really love what they say. And I want to make sure to quote them because I want to make sure to read them correctly.
Please.
Because I read them in a little magazine called Philadelphia Magazine, and it says, "Don't limit yourself or let a far-fetched idea hinder you." And the second one is, "Pursue more serendipitous things." And for those out there that don't know who that quote came from, that's from Miss Courtney Webb.
You are so nice. That's very thoughtful. I am a huge advocate for do not limit yourself, for sure. And your story has embodied that fully, because you have had obstacles, you've had boundaries and roadblocks, but you decided to keep going and going, not knowing where it would take you, but you still did it and you still pushed forward. So thanks for sharing those two quotes. But you also, I have to say, your background for the brand, it seems very like outdoors, adventure oriented. Tell me a little bit about the brand that you built. And you have a billy goat as your logo,
Right.
is that right?
Right. So the goat's kind of a play on words. One is me being Billy, having a goat, Billy Goat. That's one. But the other thing is we wanted to have a logo that really embodied a sense of tenacity and grit. And that really kind of falls back on my own story. I mean, like I said, I broke my neck when I was a teenager, and that was really hard. It really was. I mean, my life came crashing down, I mean, instantaneously. And what the future was going to look like, I had no idea. I mean, I was in the hospital for 5.5 months, like really trying to piece my life back together, both physically and mentally. And when I got discharged, it's not like it was Candyland after that. You know, it's been a real challenge. But it's also a matter of like, well, shoot. I mean, what happened was it was a shift in mindset. Really, it was a matter of when I first got hurt, I was polluted with the idea that it wasn't worth living if you couldn't walk. That's the toxic idea that I put in my head. But somewhere along the lines, I had this shift where it was a matter of like, you know what, letting go of what you lost is important, and let's focus on what we still have and do the best we can with it. So the goat in our brand, having that tenacity and grit and determination, it's a matter of if you're faced with a challenge, you're just going to try to blast through it, and you're going to do everything you can to run through that wall. And if you're like those goats, oh my gosh, those goats in the Alps, they have the ability to defy gravity. Oh my gosh, they go up these hills and just, it's incredible what they can do. So that's what we wanted to have. We wanted to have like this really encouraging and motivating type symbol that I think is rooted in the souls of all of us if we allow it to grow and we allow it to just like kind of, you know, take control. But it's a matter of like putting it in the driver's seat and just like really bearing down and not being afraid. So
I
there
think
it is.
also the fact that you put this on the foundation of our feet. I mean, sometimes if you're like me, I need a physical thing to be like, all right, how am I going to move forward? And sometimes just putting on a Billy Footwear shoe can be like putting your first foot down, putting your foot forward and setting your foundation and saying, I'm going to have the grit, I'm going to persevere, I'm going to move forward. And so I really like that your brand embodies that, but it also can be that piece that we might need just to physically put on, kind of like that armor to get on with our day, especially at this time. I feel like everything that you're saying can resonate with so many people at home. I mean, we're kind of restricted in our communications and the things that we're able to do, but we're also able to be creative and innovative and do things like this.
Right.
So,
well, along the same lines is when you step into that shoe, having the zipper go around the outside of the toe and have it go around the toe, having it fold over. When you step in, I mean, it opens up like a book. So when you step in, I mean, you're kind of symbolically stepping into your story. And then when you zip that close, it's like, you know what? I mean, what's on your page today? You know, it's like we can't go back and change our story, but we can certainly influence how the day's going to go and influence how our future is. So stepping into that story with tenacity and grit and determination, I mean, you know, do what you can.
do what you can and do what you will. So as far as having these nuggets of wisdom, you shared a couple of them with us. But when you talk about, do you have like one moment where you kind of just said, that was my pivot, whether it was in business, whether it was a personal kind of pivot? Is there something that you remember that kind of just comes straight to your mind that you would like to share that just kind of made you say, that was my hinge point. I saw what I could do with it and I used it?
So I'll give two. One is more of a life one, and one is the pivot moment in business. So the life one was when I first got hurt. I was about I don't know, a week or two post injury, and I remember I was laying on my back on my hospital bed, and you know, my mom came in and she said, you know what, it's going to be okay, as moms do. They kind of sugarcoat it, and I wasn't having it. I was in a dark place, and I said, you know what? That's when I said the words, "It's not worth living if you can't walk." And when I said that, I crushed her. I really did. Yeah. Because as a mom, you want to, or as a parent, you want the best for your kids. And I was in a tough spot. And when I said those words, not only did I crush her, but it scared me. It really did. Mm-hmm. It scared me to the point where it allowed me to recognize how dark of a place I was at. And I was on this path to destruction. I had no idea what the future looked like, but it certainly wasn't going to be good. And it scared me enough to change my mind. It changed my mindset, going like, you know what? I got to let this go. I got to focus on what I have and do the best I can with it. So with that, it was a matter of like, you know what? Every day in the hospital, I'm going to try to make myself stronger. I'm going to try to pick up little things on how to hold a pencil, hold the toothbrush, like feed myself. I mean, that's important.
Very much.
All these little tiny things that I had taken for granted. And then after that, getting discharged from the hospital, going back to school, completing engineering, and then getting a job, and now, married with a little kiddo, and it's all really special. So, but it happened. That was 20 some years ago. So it doesn't happen overnight, but a little bit. It's amazing how much traction you can get and how far you can go if you just do a little bit each day.
Definitely.
But when it comes to the business, the actual pivotal moment, it was the day that I was able to put my shoes on again for the first time, being in a chair. And when Darren and I got back together, it was actually at a Christmas party. And when we were catching up, he's like, I asked him what he was doing. He happened to be working on a shoe project of his own. And when he was telling me that, I said, you know what? Since being in a chair, I have not been able to put my shoes on. And I bet if we put a zipper in a shoe and it has to go around the toe, which allows it to fold over, and I can drop my foot in unobstructed, I bet a design like that will allow me to put my shoes on again by myself. And since he already had the contacts in place, we made a prototype. And the prototype was really simple, but it was enough to get the point across. And I remember the day, it was March 17th, 2015. And I unzipped the shoe. I was laying in my hospital bed with the back up, so my back was supported. I was able to lift my leg, drop my leg into that shoe, grab that zipper, zip it up, and lo and behold, it worked. And that was the first time I was able to do something in 18 years. So I broke my neck at 18. I put my shoes on again at 36. And the moment was so special, two things happened. One, I made the audible going, why on earth didn't we come up with this idea years ago?
Right.
But the second thing was, you know what? This was so special, we have to share it. And we have to be able to build a platform to be able to allow customers to find us and to be able to use the product. And also to do something big, not to just focus on the audiences that need function, but to be able to change the game in the marketplace in a big, big way. Be able to not just have a functional shoe and a fashionable shoe, be able to destroy both of those silos and to make something universal that anybody could use. So that was the whole concept. And that journey got us to QVC, got us to you guys, and got us to a much bigger audience.
Oh, I appreciate your story. I am so motivated just from hearing your story that I hope others are just thinking, yes, yes, yes. I feel that. And I see that too. Your spirit in you is just so sweet. And I just really appreciate you sharing and being so open. So how can we follow BILLY Footwear? Where can we find you? Follow the journey, shop and support. Tell us those platforms and things.
Okay, sure. Well, thank you for that. So our main website is billyfootwear.com. Mm-hmm. On social, for the most part, it's all at BILLY Footwear. On Facebook, it's at BILLY Footwear. On Instagram, it's at BILLY Footwear. Pinterest, at BILLY Footwear. And then also YouTube, it's at BILLY Footwear. But we also have a lot of retail partners. QVC is one of the big ones. But we also have Nordstrom and Zappos and, Macy's and some other places, a lot of independent stores. If you guys are turning in internationally, we have some international stores in Canada. We just opened one in Chile. That's pretty exciting. In Argentina, we have one in Spain, the UK, Australia. Got some great partners in Australia as well as New Zealand. So the small little story is getting out there, and all that information is available on our site. For the retail partners, it's under a tab called Retail Partners. So you can just click on that and find out where everyone's at.
Awesome. Well, go shop QVC.com. We have two styles, the classic low and the classic high top shoes. So just go and look at those, see them, try it for the first time. But Billy, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else you would like to share before we sign off?
I just really thank you for the opportunity. I mean, I really do. I mean, our brand's been based around relationship, and this conversation, I think this is the start of a great relationship. So I just really thank you for this opportunity, and I really thank you for the QVC family. I mean, you guys are just absolutely incredible, and you welcomed me and our brand with open arms, and I just look forward to continue to work with you.
Oh, we're excited to work with you too, and can't wait to see this expand on our website also. So thank you, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Yeah, well, thank you. You as well.
Bye. Have a good one.
Yeah, take care.